I'd like to approach the court and opposing counsel with just a piece of law, Your Honor. Statute.
Can I have an exhibit number again, please?
It's not an exhibit. I don't intend to offer it as an exhibit. It's just a statute. I'd be happy to if you'd like me to.
I'm not sure I'm going to object, but can I understand what the purpose? I mean, you're going to ask the witness about it, or?
I do intend to ask the witness about the law on non-judicial foreclosures.
Are you perhaps having it here for him to refer to in case he doesn't know it?
I have a copy in case he's going
Counselor,
to
if you can address the court.
Sure.
Both of you can address the court.
I'd be happy, yes, Rusty, and I'd be happy to offer it as AG 1005.
If it's not being introduced to evidence, I don't have any objection to what we're doing, I don't think. I just don't know what a statute, the court has it. I don't know whether the court has it.
Okay, we do have it. I thought I heard you just say if it's not being offered as evidence, you have no objection.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay. So?
At this time, I don't intend to offer it into evidence. Mr. Bangert, are you
We're on the same
aware?
page?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So did you just say now that you are offering it?
No,
You're not offering.
I wasn't offering it at this time.
Thank you.
I might change my mind here in a second. We'll see.
All right. Fair enough.
Mr. Bangert, you are somewhat familiar with non-judicial foreclosure law, correct?
Did you ask, am I familiar with non-judicial foreclosure law?
Yes, I asked you if you were familiar with non-judicial foreclosure law.
It's been a while.
Okay. Well, you did write a memorandum about it and issue an informal legal opinion on the matter, correct?
If you're referring to the August 1st letter, I did assist Mr. Vassar in putting that together.
Okay. And in doing so, you probably had to research the law on non-judicial foreclosure opinions, true?
Not necessarily.
Okay. You're aware of when non-judicial foreclosures take place, correct?
Based on the document that I prepared, I believe it was the first Monday or Tuesday of every month, but
Okay.
that's my recollection.
Okay. If we said it was Tuesday, would you agree with that?
I would have no reason to disagree.
Okay. Now, the fact that that occurs every single Tuesday, that singular Tuesday of every month, that's a reason that Ken Paxton could have said, Mr. Bangert, we need to get these done this weekend. True?
Yes, that could have been a reason.
Okay. And to be fair, Nate Paul is not the only person that had properties that were subject to potential foreclosures on that date, was he?
I don't know for a fact, but it seems reasonable to assume there would be other properties that would have been subject to foreclosure.
Okay. Potential homeowners, correct?
Again, I don't know of any particulars, but it's entirely possible.
So it's safe to say that it could have been someone that didn't have a job and didn't have money to pay their home loan, correct?
I have no reason to agree or disagree with that. I don't know.
Okay. After that informal guidance was issued, and to be clear, Eric, would you mind pulling up House Boards 119? That was not issued like a legal opinion was normally issued, correct?
Are you referring to?
No, I'm asking you personally.
Which
that was
document?
not issued like a formal legal opinion, correct?
It did not go through the formal process.
It was really...
To the witness, excuse me, if you can just answer yes or no when you can. Okay.
It was just a news post, right?
Which document are you referring to?
I'm referring to the informal guidance regarding the non-judicial foreclosure sales that you signed instead of Ryan Vassar.
No.
It was a post on the website, right?
I believe it was made available to the public via our website.
Okay. And if we look at House Board 119, you state, we compromised by urging that, we agreed to compromise by placing a short, noteworthy post on the website, correct?
Yes, I wrote those words.
Okay. Now, after that noteworthy post was issued, we're in August of 2020, true?
We are in August of 2020, and I do think I need to correct the record on something
just
that
a
you
yes or
asked
no
me.
question. Was it August of 2020?
We are in August.
Okay. You had no knowledge about anything to do with the renovations with regard to Ken Paxton's house at that time, did you?
The knowledge I had would have been through conversations with Mr. Mateer via Mr. Wicker.
You have no personal knowledge of that, do you?
I did not discuss that with Mr. Paxton, nor was I at his house.
You do not know who paid for the renovations to the Paxton's house?
At that time, I was unaware of who was paying for the renovations.
You don't know. You haven't seen any documents, have you?
I have seen documents that include testimony from individuals who have described...
It's a yes or no question.
I have seen
Have you seen documents that specifically show and prove who paid for those? Have you seen receipts?
I have seen documents strongly suggestive of who paid for that.
Okay. When did you first send your application for the Alliance Defending Freedom?
It would have been sometime in October.
Okay. Was it prior to leaving the Attorney General's office?
Yes, I was in conversation with ADF prior to leaving the Attorney General's office.
So when you said earlier that what you did with regard to reporting Ken to the FBI, going to the FBI being a death warrant for you, it did not affect your ability to get another job, did it?
It ended my ability to be employed by the Attorney General's office.
Well, no, because you resigned. You didn't get terminated, true?
I was constructively terminated.
Okay. You submitted a letter of resignation, did you not?
I did.
And then you went to work for a company or a firm that you had already applied for, true?
I did.
All right. In the end of the day, you would have to agree that Mr. Paxton makes the final call on what opinions are issued by the Office of Attorney General, true?
I wouldn't put it quite that way.
Well, he has to sign the document, doesn't he?
Mr. Paxton has authority to make the final signature on the document.
So in the context of a legislator, a senator perhaps, if there's a piece of legislation that they don't like, or let me rephrase that, if there's a piece of legislation that one of their staff members does not like, and they want it to go through, the senator overrules his staff member, true?
I do not know how the senators make their decisions. I can only assume that senators, much like statewide elected officials, have ultimate authority in their offices.
Have you had any conversations with any statewide officials or legislatures regarding this case?
Nothing specific.
Nothing specific. Is there any record of that, of what you actually said?
No.
So it's kind of like your conversations with Mr. Hardin and the House Board of Managers?
No.
May I approach you, Your Honor? At this time, Judge, I would offer Attorney General's Exhibit 1004.
No objection. It will be admitted into evidence.
May I approach the witness, Judge?
Yes, you may.
Mr. Bangert, I've highlighted in orange on this document. I'm going to hand it to you. I'm going to ask you to read it, okay? The highlighted portion, okay? I want you to read it aloud, Mr. Bangert.
The highlighted portion.
One moment. Does Eric have it?
Eric does not have it, Judge. This is more of a rebuttal exhibit, if you will. So, Mr. Bangert, if you could read it aloud so that our jurors could hear the highlighted portion.
Hey, read it.
Pardon me, Your Honor. May I approach him and ask him to highlight the portion that he's highlighted for the witness so I'll know what he's talking about? I just want to highlight on my copy. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to ask you to read the highlighted portion now. Aloud, Mr. Bangert.
The highlighted portion states, accordingly, my administration, to the extent reasonably necessary to prevent the further spread of COVID-19, will take all lawful measures to prevent residential evictions and foreclosures resulting from financial hardship caused by COVID-19.
That is an executive order issued by the Trump administration, Mr. Bangert. Were you aware of this executive order when you filed or sent Mr. Vassar that email on September 30th of 2020?
Look at the date of the order. It's August 8th. I don't recall if I was aware of this order, but it was irrelevant.
It was irrelevant?
Yes.
Okay. It was a week after you just issued an opinion with regard to foreclosure sales, was it not?
It was 1 week after the August 1st opinion.
Okay. But it's your opinion that it's not relevant to your summary of what happened on that foreclosure opinion you drafted?
Completely irrelevant.
Okay. I'll take that back from you. May I have a brief moment, Judge?
Point of inquiry, please, Your Honor. I'm looking at the record as it was. Maybe counsel wants to have an opportunity to correct it. I think he referred to the order in a question. That is an executive order issued by the Trump administration, Mr. Bangert. I suspect he meant to say the Abbott administration, but I just want to make sure the record is correct. I don't know which he meant.
No, it's a federal order. I meant the Trump administration.
Pardon me?
It's a federal order. I meant the Trump administration.
Thank you. Okay.
I want to talk to you more about your representation by Johnny Sutton, Mr. Bangert. Was it after you ended your employment at the Office of Attorney General that you hired Mr. Sutton?
I began working with him prior.
You began working for him prior?
I began working with Mr. Sutton prior to ending my employment, yes.
Okay. You searched for Mr. Sutton on September 22nd of 2020, did you not?
He was recommended to me.
Okay.
I can't recall searching for him on September 22nd.
Okay. This time, Your Honor, I would offer Attorney General Exhibit 312.
Any objection?
No objection.
It is admitted into evidence.
Okay. Mr. Bangert, this is a download of your computer, and I'm going to approach you with it. I'm going to have you look at it and refresh your recollection. I didn't realize Eric had. Eric, you got it published, don't you? Okay, thank you. We see here on September 22nd of 2020 that you actually searched Johnny Sutton's law firm.
That's what the document represents, that I searched for the ashcroftlawfirm.com.
And that is where Johnny Sutton is employed, true?
He's one of the named partners there.
Okay. That is 8 days before you decide that you're going to go to the FBI and report Ken Paxton.
We went to the FBI 8 days later. Yes, that's correct.
So you were searching for an attorney before you even knew that Brandon Kamick was issuing subpoenas at those banks.
Oh, no, I don't believe this had anything to do with looking for Mr. Sutton to retain him.
Oh, it's just a coincidence? Yes or no?
It probably is, yes. There's no reason. We were not searching for a counsel prior to that. I was not.
I'm going to ask you a question that Mr. Busby has stated earlier. Have you ever heard the term, there's no coincidences in the city of Austin?
I've never heard that term before. And there are plenty of coincidences.
It was a yes or no question, Mr. Bangert. You said you'd never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
So September 30th, you guys go to the FBI, true?
We did.
All right. Now, that is before you become aware of a second referral made to the Travis County District Attorney's Office, true?
Trying to recall when we became aware of that second referral. It may have been, I just don't recall precisely the order of events, but I believe it was.
I mean, you seem to have a great recollection of the order of events when Mr. Hardin had you on direct examination. Are you saying that you're forgetting now?
No, I'm telling you that I'm trying to recall specifically when I learned that fact, but I did learn that there was a second referral.
Okay. And it was after you went to the FBI?
That is entirely possible, yes.
Okay. And then the next day, that is when you guys decide to reach out to Ken Paxton, after you've already outed him to the feds, right?
We reached out to him the next day.
Okay, that's what I said. So that's a yes, right?
We did reach out to him the next day.
You were pretty active.
The witness, but once again, witness, when you can answer yes or no, if you can, answer yes or no.
I cannot answer yes or no to that question. I'm answering what I can.
Okay. You were pretty active on October 1st.
I was active on October 1st, yes.
Okay. You guys, when I say you guys, I mean the executive level administration. You had a group chat going, did you not?
We did.
And you participated in that group chat, right?
Yes.
We heard you talking to Mr. Hardin about some of the text messages in that group chat, right?
Yes.
And specifically, they were talking about a draft that was circulating between you and the other executive level attorney generals, right?
Yes.
Eric, would you mind pulling up House Board 225? And in that message, well, it's safe to say that the first draft that you all created did not go to the FBI, right?
I don't believe, no, this letter that's
right.
being referred to here?
It
no.
was revised and edited to an extent.
The document, I don't recall if it ever went to the FBI. We were working on an internal document.
Okay.
To memorialize our complaints.
Right. And the first version of that complaint, well, from what we look at in House 225, Jeff Mestier says, from Maxwell, read the letter, not sufficient. A request letter must allege specific allegations that are in violation of state law to include documentation of criminal act. The only thing you have is what happened today, and that is documented. Is that true?
You added the word "and."
Okay.
But apart from that, you read it
Excuse me?
correctly.
But that's what the text says, right?
That is what the text says.
And
with that addition.
presumably that's regarding the initial draft that you guys created to memorialize your complaint to the FBI, right?
I don't recall specifically that that's what this was.
Are you forgetting all of a sudden? Because you had a crystal clear recollection when Mr. Hardin had you on direct examination, Mr. Bangert. Do you not remember this? You're here to testify in the court of impeachment. Do you not remember the day that you went behind Ken Paxton back to the FBI? Do you not remember that?
Sir, we did not go behind the Attorney General's back.
Did you tell him you were going to the FBI? Yes or no?
Sir, we did
Yes
not
or
go
no?
behind
Did you,
the...
Mr. Bangert, I'm asking you yes or no questions. Did you tell Ken Paxton you were going to the FBI? Yes or no?
I cannot answer that question with a yes or no.
Witness, you'll answer the question.
Yes or no, Mr. Bangert?
Provided him with ample opportunity.
That's not what I asked you. Did you tell Ken Paxton you were going to the FBI? Yes or no?
We gave him ample opportunity.
That's not what I asked. Objection non-responsive, Your Honor. I'd ask that he answer the question before him.
Witness is ordered to answer the question, yes or no.
Mr. Bangert, it's a very simple question. Did you tell Ken Paxton that you were going to go to the FBI?
On September 30th, we did not.
It's a yes or no question, Mr. Bangert.
It's
a
not
yes or no.
a yes or no
It is a yes or no question.
Excuse me, sir. Your Honor, he said, he answered the question, but because he was talking on top of him, he didn't hear it. He said, on September the 30th, we did not. And he starts interrupting him halfway before, and the court reporter probably had trouble hearing, we did not. So I just asked him to let him finish what he's saying and not talk on top of him, if for no other person than the court reporter.
You can ask the question one more time.
Mr. Bangert, it is a yes or no question, and I want a yes or no answer. Did you tell Ken Paxton that you were going to the FBI?
I did not tell Ken Paxton before I went to the FBI.
Okay. We're not done with that. Your next message after we're talking about the first draft of y'all's complaint says, okay, sounds like we need to beef up the specific allegations. Does it not?
Yes, that's what I wrote.
So you actually had to go back in there and put more words and more filler into that complaint, didn't you?
No.
No? Well, the first complaint clearly wasn't sufficient if we're to go off your text messages, right?
You said the word filler. That's an inaccurate characterization
You had to
of what
amend
we
it.
were doing.
Well, let's look down there. Eric, if you could hop off of the zoom in. It says, sound like we need to beef up the specific allegations. You needed to beef them up, right? You needed to make them sound stronger. True or no?
We needed to include additional allegations to substantiate what had happened.
Okay. And so it's after that that you started talking about other things that Ken Paxton had done previously that you didn't think to include in the first version of the complaint, right?
I wouldn't put it that way.
You wouldn't put it that way. And to be clear, this is all coming to fruition because Brandon Kamick is serving subpoenas on a bank. True?
That was in part, but not entirely.
And all the while, you didn't even know that the Travis County District Attorney's Office sent a complaint directly to Mr. Kamick that did not go to the Office of Attorney General.
That would have been much more concerning if I'd known that.
So you didn't know that?
No.
Okay. Eric, would you mind pulling up Article 6? Or excuse me. Article 5. The allegation in Article 5 is that Paxton misused his official powers by violating the laws governing the appointment of prosecuting attorney pro tem. You would agree with that, right? That that's the allegation?
Yes, that is the allegation.
Mr. Bangert, Mr. Paxton, excuse me, Brandon Kamich was not an attorney pro tem. True or not true?
It's difficult to classify what he was.
True or not true?
I don't personally believe he was properly ever appointed a prosecutor pro tem.
And the Travis County District Attorney's Office never recused themselves officially and formally from the complaints made by Nate Paul to their office. True or not true?
I'm not aware of any recusal.
Okay. May I approach you, Your Honor?
Yes.
I want to go back to your last answer, and I'm going to re-ask you this. Brandon Kamich wasn't just not improperly appointed as an attorney pro tem. Brandon Kamich was not appointed as an attorney pro tem at all.
Not to my knowledge.
At this time, Judge, I would offer AG Exhibit 95.
I think that's on our list of already admitted.
It is. No objection.
Okay.
It's already admitted.
Thank you, Judge. Eric, would you mind pulling up the first page to AG 95? Mr. Bangert, we talked about you being heavily active on October 1st of 2020, and you agreed, right?
I was.
And one of the many actions you took that day was that you took it upon yourself to email Jeff Mateer's letter to Brandon Kamich terminating his employment, did you not?
I did not take it upon myself. I agreed with Mr. Mateer that this would be an appropriate way to handle this.
Okay, so you and Mr. Mateer were both of agreement to do that.
We were in agreement to do this.
All right, I want you to flip to the second page of that correspondence. You would agree that, and Eric, if you would do the same, you would agree that that is the letter that Jeff Mateer provided to terminate Brandon Kamich's employment, right? It's produced by the House, Mr. Bangert.
Correct. I want to make sure that the word terminate is accurate here. We were told him to cease and desist.
Third line, notice of termination effective immediately.
Yes, we do say that.
Okay.
Yes.
And just to be clear, you don't know all the work that Brandon Kamich put into that investigation, do you?
At that time, I was not aware of what he was up to.
And you were willing to just fire him without even thinking to pay him or compensate him for his time and his services as a lawyer?
We terminated him in this letter and told him to cease and desist.
Without even thinking about giving the guy a little bit of money for the time and effort he spent on this investigation? Yes or no?
I would not put it that way.
Okay. You didn't pay him, did you?
No, we did not.
All right. But the thing I really want to focus on, Mr. Bangert, because you're a man that has attention to detail, right?
I do my best.
I want you to look right under that Attorney General seal at the top of that exhibit, okay? Do you recognize anything that should be there?
It's been several years since I worked with letterhead. It has the seal of the Attorney General's office there.
How about your boss's name? You see that there?
His name is not here, no.
Yeah. You went ahead and sent it without his name, didn't you?
I'm trying to recall. I think there was a version.
You're looking
of
at the document, Mr. Bangert.
Excuse me, he's trying to answer the question. Can you please let him before he jumps?
Overruled.
You're looking at the document. Is Ken Paxton's name on that document you sent to Brandon Kamich or not?
His name is not on the letterhead, no. Just for the record, I do want to point out his name does appear in the letter.
Objection, Judge, to non-responsive. I didn't ask this witness a question.
Sustained.
And I'll pass Mr. Bangert.